All right, ladies and gentlemen, Rodolph Roman here, the Roman Show with the one and only Al
Because he's
Snow.
out roaming around.
You know, Al, collar and elbow, love it. Tell me a little bit about the apparel. It seems like you're taking that direction of roots of fighting, trying a serious look into the apparel. Tell me a little bit how it came about.
Well, I don't know what Roots of Fighting is, but I'm sure it's cool. I wanted to create a brand for wrestling. At the time, I didn't know that there were any other ones, and I wanted to do something because ultimately, you know who the biggest fans of wrestling are the wrestlers, because you have to be such a fan of wrestling to want to be in it, and there's nothing wrong with being a fan of wrestling. But the problem is, in so many of the general audience or the general public, if you wear a wrestling shirt, let's say, you wear the Muay Thai shirt, everybody, oh, Muay Thai, that's kind of cool. If wrestling fans wear a wrestling shirt that identifies them as a wrestling fan, most of the time they get the usual, oh, you like that, that's fake, why you like that, that's dumb. And they don't want to wear things. So we decided that if we wanted to call it something that was universal as far as wrestling, which is collar and elbow, which collar and elbow tie-ups, whether it's MMA, whether it's judo or jiu-jitsu or catch wrestling or freestyle wrestling, they all start, or professional wrestling start with some kind of collar and elbow tie-up. It's all very universal. And so for those people who just love wrestling, we wanted to create a brand, but we wanted to create designs that if you wore it out and you were wearing it around and they weren't wrestling fans, they just see it and they go, oh, that's cool, I like that. But now you, being a wrestling fan, know what this is, and you go, oh yeah, man, I like that, that's awesome. And now it's something that you can share and you relate to, but then you don't have to have somebody standing there going, well, you guys like that, that's fake, that's dumb, and all of that. And so that's what we try to do. We try to create designs and come up with ideas that will communicate the passion and the love that fans have for the sport of wrestling, but at the same time, they can feel comfortable wearing anywhere.
So what designs can we expect, or what new apparel can we expect in 2018?
Well, we'll have our spring line coming out at the beginning of March. Every 3 months, we try to come out with new designs. So we got a bunch of really cool designs. We just came out with this one, what's on the back. We just came out with that for the winter. We've had some beanies, ring jackets. They're like the old satin baseball jackets, and sweatpants and things like that for winter. And then in the spring, we'll have a lot of more colorful designs. We're going to try our hand at some old tattoo type of designs, like Sailor Jerry type looking type of designs, things like that.
Congratulations for that. And great match today. And one thing I noticed is how you take your time to speak to up-and-coming wrestlers. I just saw you just 3 seconds ago, just explain to them a little bit about what's sure you had a question and how you explain it to them. So that is great on your end. You're a veteran. You're taking your time. You know how important it is to take a step back and say, hey, let me teach you this. Let me tell you a little bit about this as a veteran.
It's essential because these young guys, even though they're down here and they're starting out, they might be the next generation that you might see in WWE. And there's no reason that they can't be. If they invest time, money, and effort in themselves and have a belief in themselves, they very well could be. But they need the wrestling business as a whole is the wrestler's business, more so than any other art of entertainment, say acting or whether it's music or whatever. A lot of producers, directors, things like that, they can control the direction of the business. But the wrestlers, it is their business, and they are the be-all, end-all. And if they don't really understand or know the art of what it is they're trying to do, then the art's not going to survive. It's not going to last. And so, I try to help them out. And I was there. I remember what it was like starting out and hoping that somebody would pull me aside and have a candid conversation and say, you screwed up, you did this wrong, here's what you should have done, you should have turned right instead of turning left, you should have sped up, you should have slowed down. But nobody ever really did, and I remember wishing they had, and it would have helped me out so much more if they had.
I'd like to get your opinion today. It's the first time I probably saw it. It was a women's match as the main event.
Yes.
When you were in Impact Wrestling, I remember knockout. The knockouts were, to me, in my opinion, were the things to see. They had some great wrestling. And to me, I know WWE said they started the whole evolution with Sasha Banks and all of that, but it goes back to the knockout because those girls were doing absolutely phenomenal
Well, even
stuff.
before then, when we were doing the developmental in OVW, the women, which was Beth Phoenix, ODB, Katie Burchell, a lot of those women were actually, they were the ones that carried the show and were the main event. In fact, I'm very proud to say that we had the very first women's ladder match in OVW in Louisville, Kentucky for the WWE developmental between Beth Phoenix and Katie Burchell, and they tore the house down. You know, and there was more often than not that the women were the ones who carried the shows. And I've always, you know, believed that the women can be as strong an attraction if done in the right manner and treated respectfully. And the women, here's the most important thing, and this isn't a sexist remark, if the women continue to be women, meaning that they don't become and go in the ring and become guys with boobs. They need to perform and wrestle as adeptly as a man, as professionally as a man, as legitimately as a man, but they now still need to retain that feminine quality and be a woman so that they're relatable to other women and also to the men in the audience. And you know, there is a definable difference. And if they lose that intrinsic thing, if they just become another guy, you know, it's no different than like if you take a guy and he's a character backstage and he's a character on the mic and then he gets in the ring and he's just a wrestler in a pair of trunks. Well, that's not what I want. You sold me this guy and now that guy goes away and now the minute the bell rings at the end of the match, he comes back. Well, now here's this attractive girl who's a girl, who's a girl, who's a girl. Bell rings, just another wrestler. Now, bell rings again, now she's a girl again. Well, that doesn't work.
And we saw it today in the main event. You have women that are smashing each other in tables. I mean, that's...
Yeah, that's crazy.
So your thoughts on Ronda Rousey? She brings in that seriousness, of course, coming from the MMA
does.
world. So what are your thoughts? What do you think she's going to bring to the table?
I hope nothing but the best for her. I really do. But the biggest, I think, for her, unfortunately, is that she's coming. It's not like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar came from WWE and he went to UFC. Do you understand? And then, you know, when he went in, he lost his first match, but he went and redeemed himself against Frank Mir. And then, you know, won again and then lost and then left and went back to WWE. But it's okay to come from the, which is ridiculous, but the supposed fake world of WWE to go to MMA. Because it's like, oh, well, now he's going to be trying to real stuff. It's not the same to go from, hey, I was on top, I lost 2 times in a row, oh, apparently she can't hack it, so now she's going to the fake stuff. Do you know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that she's legitimately not still probably a badass and could just mop the floor with anybody that makes that statement. It's just a perception that, oh, well, oh, she's now in, you know, fake wrestling. Well, big deal.
And we're seeing a lot of that, you know, MMA guys or women that are, you know, they reached their peak and now they go into the world.
It works the other way. It takes a very special, and she could be. It takes a very special person for it to work the opposite direction. And that's totally 100% on her. If she's capable of having the charisma and I mean, as much as she had in MMA, she's going to have 10 times that amount in WWE to take that stigma of, oh, well, you came over here and now you're trying your hand at this and this is easier. It's not easier. You know, I trained King Mo and Dan Severn. I trained Dan for professional wrestling and for the UFC. And both will tell you, King Mo was like, I don't know how these guys do it. He's like, I would much rather train for a fight than I would have to train to be a professional wrestler because physically it's a lot harder because there are much more demands.
And what about you? Did you ever train any MMA or any martial arts?
I trained. I have a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, got a black belt in Kempo karate. I also have a blue one from J.C. Penney's and a brown, orange one from Sears. You know, it's been so long ago. What's it matter? You know, so.
But we see some of the training. Seth Bertizelli, for example, he was in NXT with the whole coordination with the hands. how beneficial is that you get a guy from MMA or a woman from MMA teaching some of the pro wrestlers some of the skills, techniques of MMA into pro wrestling?
Well, here's the thing. Every style of fighting, even professional wrestling, I don't need to tell you this, have their own, and this is a thing that nobody understands unless they've done it. They have their own set of timing, distance, and footwork. Muay Thai has a completely different set of timing, distance, and footwork to throwing punches and kicks than, say, long style karate. Long style karate is totally different than short. Short style karate is different than hard. Hard is different than soft. Kung Fu is different. They all vary, not on maybe the strikes are a little different, maybe, but really, essentially, it all comes down to timing, distance, and footwork. Those are the keys, and it's great. They can communicate what it's like to throw a punch, but if you don't understand the timing, distance, and footwork to throw that punch in a way that doesn't connect, but looks like you tore the person's head off, it serves no benefit.
Wow, thank you so very much. Make sure to pick up Collar and Elbow, available right now. You got some new stuff coming out.
CollaranElbowBrand.com. To get off your porn site, go there. CollaranElbowBrand.com.
This is The Roman Show.